All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Gwendy's Button Box by Stephen King and Richard Chizmar. Looks like a collaboration between the two of them. This came out a few years ago, and it's book one of a trilogy. Book two is Gwendy's Magic Feather, which is written by just Richard Chizmar. And then book number three is Gwendy's Final Task, written once again. Stephen King collaborated on this one, so it is Stephen King and Richard Chizmar. Now, on this channel, I've been reading and reviewing every single Stephen King novel in order of publication. And for the last 3 years, we're pretty much nearing the end of the whole stack of books that Stephen King wrote. And now I am to these books here, and I'm going to be reading all these, even though it's going to mess up the order of publication a little bit because I'm jumping ahead. I mean, I think Bazaar of Bad Dreams and maybe Sleeping Beauties were published before these three, but I want to get this trilogy out of the way right now. So we're going to kind of break stride a little bit and just read these three books. Sort of out of order, but I'm going to read them all I'm going to read them all this month. And it's going to mess up that publication order business that I was doing. Anyway, let's talk about the covers, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. All three covers were done by an artist named Ben Baldwin. God, I think that's the name. I should write this shit down. And then the book just fell. I'll edit this whole part out. Ben Baldwin, I was correct. Oh, God, the book fell, knocked the camera sideways. God, I should just film the rest of the review like this. Who gives a shit? So Gwendy's Button Box. All the covers are cool. I like the way they all kind of match up and everything. They look good. Enough about the covers. I listened to the Audible.com version of this. This is a short novel. It's only about 150 pages. The Audible... I gotta fix the camera. It's focused on my fatness, which is apropos because this book is about a fat person. All right. So Gwendy's Button Box. I was listening to the Audible.com version, which took me like an hour and a half to listen to. That was voiced by the Audible narrator Maggie Siff, and Maggie did a stellar job. So this book starts out in 1974 in Castle Rock, Maine. One of the main places where our main man, Stephen King, sets his stories. He sets a lot of them in Castle Rock, Maine. So in Castle Rock, there's these stairs that go up a hill, and they're called the Suicide Stairs. Because they've got a history of things, and we won't get into that, but there's a girl named Gwendy, Gwendy Peterson, who's 12 years old, a chubby little kid, gets picked on, and Stephen King and Richard Chizmar, they do a good job of describing the struggles of a chubby 12-year-old girl, and as she's walking up these stairs, I guess in order to lose weight, we get to hear the thoughts that are in her head about how she's fat, how people pick on her, the different names she gets called, how people treat her in the community, and she doesn't like herself. She gets to the top of the stairs and meets this guy. Well, this guy right here she meets. He's sitting on a park bench. Now, normally, any book that has a young 12-year-old girl talking to a shady-looking dude on a park bench is going to give you the creeps, and it does. I mean, even this guy in the hat, he even mentions during the conversation he's having with this girl that this is a creepy situation. Normally, middle-aged men wearing weird hats, sitting on park benches, just don't strike up conversations with children. It's not the thing to do. But anyway, he's talking to the girl, and he gives her a little box that's got buttons on it. That's why it's called Gwendy's Button Box. which I'm just going to say, it's one of my least favorite titles of a Stephen King book, but what can you do? The book is literally about Gwendy's button box, and the button box is given to her by this guy. And it's kind of a magic box. And with the box comes these chocolates, which of course she cannot resist. However, this guy tells her that the box is magical. It's got some magical properties. There's a few things. Don't monkey with the box too much because it can be dangerous. Don't push different buttons because if you push different buttons, evil things are going to happen. However, I'm giving this box to you anyway, and there's these chocolates that he gives her too. And of course, he tells her there's magic in the chocolates. Now, after that scene goes on, when we get to the different parts of the book, where the chocolates that she eats start to do something to her, and they transform her into, gosh, I'm giving spoilers away. I'm not going to tell you how they transform her. I'll let you figure that out yourself as you read it. But they do transform her in a way that she likes. And so she becomes enamored with this box and these chocolates. And then she's tempted to push these buttons that she was told not to push, because she was told that the chocolates had magic properties. And over time, she figured it out that they do. Well, she was also told that the box has some dangerous things to it and don't touch this part or that part. So she's tempted to. And another thing is I want to tell you what happens, but does she not touch these? But when anyway, that's the crux of the story. I don't really want to say much more because I don't want to spoil anything. But she's tempted by this box. And will the evil things, if she does touch the buttons, what sort of evil will she introduce to the world? I don't know. If you want to find out if she touches those buttons or not, you got to read the book. So I actually was surprised at how much I liked this. I thought it was gonna suck just by the title alone. But I actually really, absolutely, 100% enjoyed this. 8.5 out of 10. I would have given it a higher score. Actually, because I'm already about halfway through reading, or I'm listening to this one on Audible too. And I'm about halfway through book 2, which is also short. I would have preferred that Stephen King, from what I've read the 3 books. I would have liked if they would have just published it as one big book. And it would have been, from what I've read so far, it would have been like, all combined, it would have been like a top 10 or 15 Stephen King story, really. But broken up into the trilogy, I think it's a little weaker. I don't know why that would it makes sense to me what I'm saying. I think that book 2 is even stronger than this. That's what I'm saying. This was stronger than I was expecting. This is even stronger than that. And I'm hoping book 3 is the strongest of all, which would elevate the whole thing. Because right now I'm going to give this one a solid 8.5 out of 10, which was a way bigger score than I thought I was going to give it when I started. First thought of reading it.